What is up, everybody? I'm so excited to announce my new project, Through the Net podcast, with your host, James Macey, aka J Worthy the Truth.
Addicted to popping them tags. Money was made for the sad. Now my ex was calling back. Saw me come up out the rant. Didn't wait long, now that bitch throwing tantrum.
About everything, man. I hope y'all enjoy the Through the Net podcast.
Make sure to watch the podcast.
Unless I'm shooting your ass. Then come, go with the cash.
Through the Net podcast start? Well, that's simple. My passion for basketball. I can't begin to tell you when I had a basketball in my hand. I think it was probably 4 or 5 years old. My passion for basketball is probably what identifies me as an individual, to be honest with you. Basketball runs in my blood. I wanted to start my own thing, and I wanted to have some conversation about just basketball, just barbershop basketball talk, or just why, like, anything that's going on, whether it's NBA basketball, whether it's 2K, NBA 2K coverage. But what I really want to focus on is giving people a voice to express themselves in a way that you couldn't express yourself. I love the negative comments. I love the positive comments. I love the negative feedback. I love it. I love the opinions. I love when we butt heads and we're not seeing eye to eye on things. I thrive off that. That to me is great conversation, because at the end of the day, you could sit there and you could look at that person and be like, yo, that's a solid dude. He loves hoops. We might not see eye to eye, but we're going at it back and forth. We have some very knowledgeable arguments. That's how I view every time I see a comment or a comment on my post talking about how they differentiate themselves. It's like, a lot of the times, like, if you have something good to say, you're gonna say it. You're gonna back it up. Because a lot of the times people post a comment and then they don't come back to it because they know it's either they're baiting it, they're clickbaiting, or they're a bot, or they just don't know basketball and they just want to get a rise out of somebody. That's not what we're about here at Through the Net podcast at all. I can remember a time where about 7 years ago now, 2020, no, 5 to 7 years ago, I was just starting up my podcast, but it was called the No Limit Jumper Podcast. It wasn't even called Through the Net. So Through the Net is something that's brand new this year. I opened up my Twitter app at the time and saw Sekou Smith. Now, Sekou Smith, anybody who knows him, he's an NBA analyst, very, very knowledgeable. To have an hour of his time talking about his career, talking about how he grew up, talking about the challenges that he faced every single day as a African-American male. It was inspiring, and not only that, it struck confidence in me, where it's like, you can do this if you put your mind to it. You know what you're talking about. All I did was reach out on Twitter, and he got right back to me within 10 minutes and said, let's do it. So for someone of that caliber to take their time out of their day to sit down and talk with someone whose podcast hasn't really made any traction is inspirational for me. And that's my idol in the basketball world, and the fact that he took the time out of his day, that meant a lot. I was a workhorse, so I was going up to people every single day. What can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? And I went up to my varsity coach. He was basically telling me the stuff I need to get better. You need to be quicker on defense. You need to be able to consistently knock down a jump shot. You know, you need to move your feet, shuffle your feet. You need to help defense. The help defense wasn't there. Say less. I was working on all these things, and it still wasn't enough to get me on the court, and I didn't know why. So growing up from 2010 to 2015, during those high school years, it was tough trying to accept the fact that I wasn't good enough at basketball, but deep down I knew I was good, and if I continued to work at it, good things would happen, but I just never saw the opportunity. Like, I'd be the person that would be in there at 30 seconds left in the game going hard, and I didn't know why, but I saw every opportunity that I was out on the court to prove myself. give coach a reason to keep me out on the court, whether that was offensively, defensively, communicating on defense, any little thing I could do, rebounding the basketball, passing the rock, making that right play, beating the zone. So I'd be the big man. I'd be standing in the middle of the zone just to be that guy to catch the ball and then break the zone. Like every single little detailed play, I got in. Like I still had the mindset that I was going to go play college basketball, and I had my mindset on it, and I was going to use my senior season, varsity season, to showcase that. I walked in the locker room one day and asked Coach if he had game film, and he said that no, he didn't, and that his laptop was broken. I think what my coach wanted to tell me was that I wasn't good enough. That yes, my hard work mentality is what got me on the team, but I wasn't talented like the other guys ahead of me. And I don't think that he wanted to share that information with me, because I was busting my butt. And you know, I'm not the best basketball player in the world, but I'm gonna outwork the other person next to me. At that time, it was more talent driven than hard work based, if that made sense. You could work your ass off in practice, that wouldn't get you a spot in the game. If you had talent and you could put the basket in the hoop, it didn't matter what your defense was looking like. Especially growing up, that in that high school era of the identity of the three ball was just coming to fruition. Steph Curry ruined that, but Steph Curry wasn't really sprouting. He sprouted when I was like a freshman year in college, like that 2015 version of Steph. Defense was a very big standpoint, but not on our team. We relied on our offense to get us through games, and that's not how you're going to win games, unfortunately. And more importantly, man, it's just I've had teachers tell me in high school that, oh, like, pick a different profession. Like, you're not going to go pro in basketball. Like, let's be realistic here. And like that's what persuaded me to yes. Obviously, that crushed you as a sophomore, like a 15, 16-year-old kid. That crushed your hearts. But I always made a point that basketball will always be in my life. And that's why I created the podcast. And that's why I love speaking about it. I love speaking on it. And to go back, I'm not blaming anything on why I didn't play college basketball, why I got cut from the college basketball. I just didn't have enough resources. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's a huge reason why I want to help others, is that, yeah, you may be good at basketball, but you may not have the same resources as the other person. The difference between opportunity right now is that the person with the better resources will get that opportunity with the person who is maybe busting their butt, you know, just meeting the threshold, but they didn't have the resources to get them over here. So that's what I want Through the Net podcast to be about, is that, yeah, I share my experience as a humbling experience, and I don't blame anybody for it. But maybe someone who's coming up could be like, hey, like, this podcast really helped me get to that next level, and you really helped me gain an opportunity to where now people are actually taking me seriously. That's what I want. Everyone deserves to be taken seriously, and it's all about how, if you want to actually put the work in, if I see you're putting the work in, you're going to come on the show and you're going to tell me. I don't care if you're the most famous person in the world. I don't care if you have one follower. You're going to come on my show. If your story is worth sharing, it's gonna be broadcast to the world. And everyone has a story. I can't get to everybody, obviously, but I'm out there and I'm being open to it. And why not have Through the Net podcast be the liaison for those people who want those extra resources? It's just that simple. I ended up getting into the college I wanted, majoring in what I want. I was one of the last people cut from my college team, and at that point, you know, I just wasn't in great condition. I was fat. I was the coach at LaSalle, his exact words were, you're a great shooter, you're just a lot slower. And he said it in a nice way, but it's basically like the weight is holding you back. And I understood that completely. I cried. From that point on, I always wanted to make sure basketball was in my life. And I stayed around the sport. I wasn't putting my head down. I was covering the games. Like, I was writing it in the paper. I was at everything basketball related, no matter what. And I just love the game. All I wanted was to be taken seriously in that regard. Is, yes, he might not be the best basketball player, but he knows what he's talking about. He has the IQ. He has the knowledge of the game. He could break the game down better than people. That's my motivation now. I'll play basketball for fun, and yes, I'm still competitive, and yes, I'll still talk, and yes, I'll share all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I just want to be around basketball. And that's kind of what the motivation was, and about making this podcast. And weekly episodes are going to consist of real life stories. You know, we might be talking about the NBA, we might be talking about high school basketball, we might be talking about how basketball can help us off the court. Anything pertaining to basketball. It's basketball heavy around here, and I can't wait to give y'all some quality through the net podcast content. Share my knowledge with everybody, and hopefully we can take this podcast to new heights.